And tonight, first of all, I am your host tonight, Jeff from Brisbane, California. And we look forward to meeting our new guest tonight, and that is Don Wessenberg. How you doing, Don?
Great, thank you.
Oh, great. Yeah, you are doing great, aren't you? I think I have to adjust this thing a little bit. We're a little bit too low here. Here we go. There we go. You're right in the picture there. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I live in Prince George, B.C., which is about 500 miles north of Vancouver. I'm married, got 4 kids, and we are the proud owner of a 15-foot Escape.
So now, when did you get the 15-foot Escape?
Well, we paid for it in January. We ordered it in April of last year. I'm talking 2009. And we picked it up in April of this year.
Wow. So that's a little bit of a wait, and So is this your first trailer?
No, this is the first of many. Throughout the years, we started with a tent trailer, worked our way up with rather big trailers and big trucks. Back totally out of that when our kids were no longer interested in camping. And we went into a small fiberglass one, which was a 1978 Trillium. Needed a bathroom and moved into an Escape.
Now, the Trillium kind of looks the same as an Escape, kind of from the outside, right? Would you say?
Actually, the molds are almost identical in some cases. Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. Very much so. In fact, I think Reese took the 15 almost directly from the Trillium 15-footer for his primary mold, or his size.
No. So, why did you decide to get an Escape versus a different fiberglass trailer?
Well, quality and availability. Prior to, as I mentioned before, we had the Trillium, which we really liked, and worked out very well for us, except for the fact of getting a little older, and these nighttime bathroom visits became a bit of an issue. When you're having coffee or tea around the campfire, it becomes a bit of a problem. And so this was always something we had in the back of our mind. And I looked at the trailers that were made in Calgary, the Outback, but they only made a 13. They were looking at making a 15 at one time. And I was talking to the guy out there about using our trailer as a mold. And I looked at casitas and different ones. And then finally, I don't exactly know how I got onto Escape, but probably was through a web search. I found out that he was looking at building a 15. I contacted them to see if this was true. And I was the number 3 person to order one of these things sight unseen.
Wow, that's amazing. And obviously, you're extremely happy with it.
Well, prior to actually getting the trailer, I ended up in Chilliwack one time with my son. It's a bit of a sad story because we were going down there for a funeral, but we had some time, and I went over to the factory, and Reese and I spent about an hour in a hollowed-out a Trillium trailer trying to plan how everything would fit. We never did come to any conclusions, but when I was down there, I also saw how the other ones were built, and he does a very good job.
Oh yeah, yeah, most definitely, he does a great job, and he's right on top of it. So he does things that other people wouldn't even consider trying or whatever. But so why did you get a 15-foot versus a 17-foot or a 19-foot?
Well, the 15-foot that we had. One of the reasons why we got a fiberglass trailer is I have a 1937 Oldsmobile hot rod, and the size of the trailer and the weight were critical because I have lots of power, but big trailers take. I wasn't into equalizer hitches and all the major paraphernalia that goes along with it, so that was one thing. Also, the 15-footer has, for the size of it, has a big bed, and that was an issue. The bed is slightly wider than a 17.
So is it a queen size bed, or is it just like a double bed?
It's a double bed, but my understanding is it's 54 inches versus about 48 or 49, and it does make a difference.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. 54. I mean, I think 60 is a standard queen, right? And
Yeah.
54 would definitely be bigger than a double. I think a double's 50 or something like that. So, yeah, that's most definitely that's better.
But we mostly decided on the 15 because of the bed and just the size and weight. Weight is an issue because of our old car and also because of the kind of truck we have.
All right, but now have you towed it with the car?
Not yet. Um, the car has a tremendous amount of power. My issue with it is in those old-fashioned cars, and they have narrow fronts, it's getting enough air through the radiator. It would pull it no problem, and I could haul it around the north here. I'm just leery about 35-degree weather in the Okanagan Valley.
I have no clue what the Okanagan Valley is like, so I would tow it with the truck.
Yeah, well, I used to tow the other one with the old car. I'm going to get brave one of these days and try it.
Yeah, but maybe you should try it when it's nice and nice fall weather, nice and it's not raining, and yeah, because you have to put a brake controller in the car, right?
Oh, I've got one in there already.
Oh, all right. You're set to go. Okay, so now, did you order any options on the 15 foot? What are the options on the 15 foot?
Well, I don't know them all. I mean, there are various things. What the options that we ended up with were dual tanks, dual propane tanks, a bike receptacle hitched up on the back of it so we could put a bike rack on, rock guards, air conditioning, an outside hatch, and an outside receptacle for 110. And I think that's about, oh, I'm sorry, and a bug tent.
Oh,
You know
screen.
the bug screen? Yes.
Yeah. Wow. Now yours has you have the bathroom. You have the
Oh,
bathroom
yeah.
inside. Yeah, yeah.
We have the 15B with the
15B.
bathroom
Yeah.
and
Okay.
the forward kitchen.
So were you ever interested in getting the new front box that Reese is putting together?
Oh, yeah. I mean, being a small truck, we have ample storage for all the things we ever want to take camping. I mean, as small as our truck it is, two of us, it works fine. But no, I'm interested in seeing how that's going to turn out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be stellar. I mean, because you can even put a small generator in there, so you don't have to worry about the fumes and gas tanks and things like that if you need it. Yeah. So are you happy with the options that you've chosen?
Oh, yes. The only one other option that we got was one of those wheels for the hitch.
Oh, hitch wheel.
Yeah, I mean, that was the only thing that probably we could have done without because the hitch weight is too heavy to move it around.
Yeah, yeah. Unless you have a winch or something, you're pulling it into something, and you needed to do it that way. Because we actually got the hitch, the wheel hitch on the front, and what we ended up doing was we hooked in a winch, electric winch, and we kind of pulled it into our pad. And then we found out that I could just back it into the pad, so I didn't need the hitch wheel anymore.
I went out and I purchased one of those. They're called the 360 Park It, and it's like a little dolly that you move around, and it works off a 12-volt motor, and you just hook it into the ball, and I can drive that trailer around like a wheelbarrow.
Wow, I gotta ask, what does that cost?
That was
That's gonna be like $400.
That was $1,000.
Yeah.
But the thing is, our trailer is so small, we park it under our sun deck, and that saves us storage fees. So even though the hitch is a little bit expensive, in a few years it'll pay for itself.
Yeah. Plus, you can just wheel it right in perfectly and not worry about anything, and it's covered too, so that's great.
Yeah, so that's exactly it. Yeah.
So, have you done any after sales experience with Tammy and Reese as of yet? Did you have to get anything tweaked or anything at all? Or?
No, I've contacted them because our back window, the rubber seal, popped out of the corner, and she gave me on how to fix that. We had one other stupid mistake on our part because we forgot to close the tiny little window that's behind the bar for the awning. and we kind of bent the mechanism a little bit. So I'm going to be talking to her about buying another one and installing it. But that is owner error.
Hey, at least I know maybe the fourth day that we had the escape, we almost took off with the rock guard up, on the window, and like everyone's like shouting at us when we're driving out of the campsites. They're going like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And then luckily, because it would have just ripped right off, and yeah, now we have a little checklist.
Well, that's what we do too. And I mean, Susan's like my co-pilot, and before we leave, she runs down the list of everything that's supposed to be here, like wiring and chains and brakes, and those little jacks are up and things like that.
Yeah. And it's good to have another pair of eyes, and a smarter eyes actually doing that for you because, I know for me, sometimes I just want to get the heck out of there, and and I just want to go really fast and I'll forget something or make a mistake. So, yeah, it's good to have another person. Okay, so you are towing with what? What is your primary tow vehicle?
Right now we have a 2010 Chevrolet Colorado. It's got a 3.7 inline 5-cylinder engine. It does a great job of pulling this trailer. We had a 2005 Canyon, GMC Canyon before. Slightly smaller engine, but the rear end was a mechanical ratio that it did an okay job, but it kind of labored a bit going up hills. This one with a different gear ratio works much better.
Yeah, the wheels are probably turning a little bit faster, so you get a little more torque on the back end there.
Exactly.
Yeah. And speaking of mileage, I always like to ask mileage. What kind of mileage are you doing?
We get between 17 and 19. The little truck is kind of dependent on how many hills you go up and down. If I stay on the flat, I can get over 19. If I go up and down some steep hills, I get down around 17.
19 is just amazing. You're like the towing god right now. People are probably going, I wish I could get 19 just driving down the highway with my car, So that's amazing. That's really, really good. That's how it should be.
I mean, that's one of the things that has always enticed us about a small trailer because we have friends who have a 30-foot fifth wheel, and I mean, it is a major expense to go somewhere.
Right. So are the 15-foot a little bit wider than the 17-foot?
I don't think so. I think they're 6'6". I think all the trailers are exactly the same.
Nice.
And I'm 6'2", and that bed works out great.
Perfect. Yeah. So it basically has the same kind of wind profile as any other trailer, right? So it's going to have the same wind. Yeah. So yeah.
And our little truck has a canopy on it, so it just tucks right in behind the truck and probably gets very little wind resistance that comes from it.
All right. And what's the weight of the 15-foot, would you say?
Well, the dry is supposed to be 1750, but I would say, with the air conditioning and everything else on it, we're probably close to 2. And then when you put 20 or 25 gallons of fresh water, we're probably 22, 23 with clothes and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And
which is,
go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, which is still I've always used a thing with trucks that I never go close to their posted rating. I always like to stay under 60%.
Oh yeah. You don't know until you need it, right? And then especially if it's not so much the pulling it, it's the stopping it, and that's the big thing. Yeah. For us, anyways. We always like to be able to stop. So now, how many trips have you think you've taken so far?
Well, we've actually spent, since April, we figured we spent over a month in it.
Wow.
When we first picked it up in April, we went into the States, into Washington, and over by Deception Pass towards the coast. We spent a week with it there, and we have camped a lot of weekends, long weekends. Me being kind of semi-retired, my weekends are a little longer than normal.
There you go.
And then at the end of August, beginning of September, we spent a week and a half in it down in the Okanagan Valley in BC.
So can you tell? I'm thinking about going to Deception Pass area. Is it just beautiful and is it the Oregon coast, right? Is that the Oregon coast?
So this is right up in Washington. You know where the I can't remember it. Puget Sound. You know where the inlet goes down into Seattle, down towards Seattle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
How there's Vancouver Island. The inlet goes down towards Seattle, Tacoma, but there's that jut of view, that land there that is at the
Yep,
coast.
yep, yep, yep.
Over towards Port Angeles. That's where we were.
So now, do you take a ferry? Can you take a ferry from Vancouver there and then come back up, or you just drive
No,
right there?
we went across the border and used the U.S. ferry because it's considerably cheaper.
All right. So, but can you do that? I mean, can you like if you were to visit Vancouver Island, can you just come back
Yes,
that way? Oh, you can.
yeah,
Okay.
it's actually a ferry from Port Angeles directly over to Victoria.
Ah, that sounds good. So, do you have any more long trips planned, or are you kind of winterizing it right now?
Oh, well, no, we're going to probably have snow here before the end of the month. That's what happens up here. But no more this year. As far as long trips planned in the future, next year we're going to go with another couple down to San Francisco. And the year after that, we're tossing up either going down I-15, which we actually don't go down the freeway. We go down secondary roads to the Grand Canyon.
Oh yeah.
And then the other one I'd like to do is go back across Canada.
I would go across Canada. I would wait till like the summertime. I wouldn't go during the winter time. I think that was probably a little hard.
I did it in 2003. At that time, myself and my 16-year-old boy in a 1972 Chevelle and that 78 Trillium trailer, we drove to Halifax and back.
Wow, 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 wow. So when you come down to San Francisco, you have to look us up because obviously we're right there. We're
Wasn't sure
one
what you
exit
guys.
away.
Okay, no, that would be awesome.
Yeah, yeah. There's some places to stay. Regrettably, you can't stay at our house because you have a trailer.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to go down the Oregon coast,
Yeah.
see the redwood forest, and drive across the Golden Gate Bridge.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, it's just like in Canada, the Bay Area is just stellar. But what you should probably think of is when you go back, go up to Lake Tahoe, and that's just pristine. It is so nice up there, and it's only like a 4-hour drive. It's a great. We stayed at some stellar campgrounds that you have just vistas and view, and the water is like crystal blue. It's just amazing. So I would put Tahoe on your list going back or coming down.
It was on the list.
It's on the list. All right. So what's been the biggest surprise so far owning the 15-foot? I mean, you're very familiar with it because you had a Trillium to compare it to. So you think they're built better? You think what's been a surprising thing so far?
Well, I think the Trillium was a very good trailer in its day. It was very light. You actually had to be careful when you were doing anything on the roof because the fiberglass was so thin, whereas the Escape, I think, it's heavier than the Trillium, and I think a lot of that weight comes from the thickness of the fiberglass. But I lost my train of thought there. Get me back on.
That's okay. Because did you ever think of getting like I hate to say this, but a Bigfoot?
We had friends that had a Bigfoot, and I did not like the construction on how the cupboards were attached inside. In the Trillium, the cupboards were part of the molded fiberglass. In this one, the cupboards, the way I saw Reese putting it together with those bars of wood embedded in the fiberglass, and things looked like they just weren't going to come off the walls.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, the interior of a Bigfoot has kind of got like a carpet on the wall.
Right.
And the Trillium with that, well, I mean the Trillium had kind of that membrane, whereas the Escapes have got that really nice looking imitation leather.
Yeah, I kind of call it pleather, but yeah, that's that I think they call it what do they call it? Headboard? No, not headboard. Man, I forgot about it. It's like it's a term used for cars. Like the liner inside a car.
It finishes it off really nice.
Oh yeah, it makes it look really stellar. I mean, it's clean and And it's easy to clean too. You don't have to worry about it.
And when you're tall like me and you bang your head on the roof, it doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Plus, you can, they have the option where you can get the extra installation, for like $250, and you can't beat that. It kind of doubles it up a little bit, so you can save your head a little more.
Yeah, we didn't go for that, and I guess the only thing that might have been good there is for the condensation on the windows. But we haven't really had any problem with that. We leave the vent open on the top and a window open a couple of inches, and spend a little more on gas heating it, but we get a good convection, and we don't get that humidity problem.
Yeah, yeah. So now, since you got the dual propane tanks, you probably never had to go through. You haven't gone through one yet, have you?
Oh yes, we have, because it's cold up here.
Well, you're running the furnace.
We actually run our furnace, but compared to other trailers, I mean, the Trillium trailer was extremely frugal on fuel, but the Escape versus other trailers that we've had, where we had some big trailers in the past, and this thing, a tank of fuel goes a long ways. I mean, in previous trailers, we would have to take two 30-pounders of gas to go on a long weekend.
Wow.
Again, because of heating, you would have the furnace to run. Whereas the Escape is very well insulated.
Yeah, most definitely. And we found that on our trips when we were going, of course, we did use hookups sometimes. We didn't go through a whole propane tank hardly ever, but we were not in the north. We were going more south oriented, which is how we do it. So we stay away from the cold. But see, now you're semi-retired. You can come south whenever you want. You can be taking that trailer out right today.
Well, it's not quite. What I am is I worked 39 years for a company. I retired. I got bored, and I went back to work 3 days a week. And my wife's still working for a couple more years, and then we will be totally free to go.
Oh, okay.
But we can actually go a lot of places now. It works out okay.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. Yeah, it's always good to have your companion with you when she can take off and you can take off for extended trips. That totally makes it it's just wonderful. All right, we're going to see if there's any questions from the audience really quick. We have one question coming up, and my wife is frantically writing the question as we speak. So I have to fill in the time. I'm going to start. What?
You asked about alterations. One of the things that we've done in the Escape bathroom is Thetford makes a push-button vacuum thing, or like a stick-on thing that you can stick on the wall, like for a toothbrush hook or a towel. Those have worked out very well for us.
Oh yeah, we use them all the time. Yeah, exactly. And we use the the towel hangers, and we had a magnetic towel hanger on the range hood for paper towels, and it just like sticks up there. It was really nice. All right, we got a question here. Hold on. Let me go back over here. I can't see it. I'm going to show you first. What did the 15 what? What? Hey, what does that say?
15 feel big enough.
Oh. Sorry about that, Don.
That's
We had
okay.
a little communication handwriting issue going there. Does the 15 foot feel big enough for long trips? I mean, could you spend it like say 30 days, 40 days in it with no problem?
I mean, I don't know. The one thing that we did resolve when we bought the trailer is it has one bed and no table. Okay, so I basically said, it's my job. I put up and down that bed twice a day. In the morning when we want to put the table up, and at night when we want to put it down. That's part of the deal. I mean, because we don't have a breakfast nook in there. And, you can grumble and whine about it, but we went into it knowing that would be the case, and that's what it is, and that's what we do.
Right.
As far as space goes, it is small. I mean, when people are getting dressed and whatever for the day, you've got to give people their space. So we have a routine where I get up first and do my thing, and then I go for a walk while Susan does her thing.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, you're right. You would end up elbowing one another if you were moving around in there a lot.
And you know, you getting ready, you must, you know, is a little bit faster than, say, possibly Susan. So you take your little walk and you come back 20 minutes later and everything's done.
Everybody gets their space and time. But, you know, as far as when you say small, the 15-foot for us actually has very good storage. The kitchen being at the front is not hampered by any wheel wells or anything like that. We have ample room to store clothes, groceries. We got a 3 cubic foot fridge. We didn't opt for the microwave because that's where our bedding goes when we roll it up and put it away.
Ah. Yes, you talk about a perfect segue. They were asking, where does the bedding go when you put the table up, and you answered it while my wife was writing the question. So it basically goes up above the storage where the microwave would go.
Yes.
So did you ever think of just having like little those little folding TV trays and kind of use them as tables and sit on the bed, or that idea?
No.
Not even a good idea.
No, actually, what we end up doing quite a lot is the bunk tent is surprisingly easy to put up. Many years ago, we had an extended room on a tent trailer, and I swear to God, it took 2 octopuses to try to get this thing up into to get it there. And this one has got 2 pressure rods down the side. It's slipped in a channel on the awning tube, and you can put it up by yourself in just a couple minutes. And the screen seems to kind of cut the wind a little, and you can sit out there and have tea and coffee and be somewhat isolated from others. It also seems to keep the wind at check, and we don't have as many problems with the wind getting underneath our awning and trying to rip it off.
Yeah, it probably adds a little more weight to it as well, so it gives it a little more stability. Yeah.
Oh, very well.
Yeah,
and
plus,
it does. Oh.
Yeah, and it's you're in a trailer. You want to be outside, so that's your extended room. That's your living room, pretty much.
And we do most of the cooking outside, and we always have, even on our bigger trailers, because bacon cooking inside a trailer it doesn't go over very well.
No, it doesn't. No. So do you? Since you don't have a microwave, do you have a generator at all for any reason?
Yeah, but I bought the generator mainly for charging batteries. We have a lot of campsites up here that have no services, and in the past, battery power has always been an issue. So with a Honda generator, I have no trouble keeping that thing totally topped up.
Plus, you can use it for other things. Yeah.
And we also have what do you call it? One of those little toaster ovens.
Ah.
And besides the Coleman stove that we use outside, but like I say, with a truck, we can haul lots of stuff in the back of it.
Yeah, and then you use your toaster oven if you wanted to roast a little chicken or something in there, or whatever you wanted to do, or if it's raining outside, you can't do the barbecue. You can always bake, salmon or whatever. Yeah. So
yeah.
do you find that that 3 foot cubic refrigerator is that ample enough for you for your trips?
For us, it is. In the Trillium, we had a 1.8 cubic foot fridge. You see, if we'd have gone from a 5 to a 3. Maybe we would have been a little bit whatever, but we consider this to be big.
Exactly. Yeah. Anything is when you double the size, you double the size.
Yeah, we have lots of room.
Good.
We can put a head of lettuce in there now.
No beer, but lettuce.
Yeah, we got room for that too.
All right. Well, do you have any questions? That's pretty much it. So that's our a little interview. You did a great job. Unbelievably, we went 30 minutes. It just flew right by, didn't it?
No, that was great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And let me just close this out, and then I'm gonna stop everything, and I'll tie it off with you in a second, Don. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for tonight's show and watching it. Stay tuned for other shows, and we will see you on the highway.